5 of France's most successful businessmen are sitting in a government office shaking hands, signing papers to demolish the Eiffel Tower. Except the office is a borrowed hotel suite. The official across the table has no government job. And the Eiffel Tower is absolutely not for sale. His name is Victor Lustig, and he's about to do it twice. Victor Lustig was born in Bohemia in 1890. By his 20s, he was fluent in 5 languages and completely uninterested in earning money honestly. He spent his early career on luxury ocean liners, not as a passenger exactly, but as a predator circling one. Wealthy travelers, bored and flush with cash, were perfect targets. He watched them the way a hawk watches a field, patient, calculating, invisible until it was too late. His signature trick was something he called the Romanian box, a beautiful mahogany device that, he claimed, could duplicate any banknote fed into it. Slide in $100 bill. 6 hours later, another 100 would emerge. Tourists paid tens of thousands for the machine. They'd get home. It would print exactly 2 more bills. Then nothing. A beautiful, expensive, completely dead box sitting on a kitchen table while a furious man pressed every button and got absolutely nothing in return. But here's what made Lustig different from every other grifter working a deck of cards in a back alley. He didn't just lie. He made people desperately want to believe him. Victims weren't tricked. They were charmed into tricking themselves. That's a completely different skill. And in 1925, he found a target worthy of it. Post-World War I, France is exhausted and broke. Infrastructure is crumbling. And the Eiffel Tower, built in '89 as a temporary exhibition structure, is rusting badly. Maintenance costs are enormous. There is a genuine public debate in French newspapers about whether the thing should just be torn down. Lustig reads one of those articles in a Paris cafe. And something clicks. A recovering country is a confused country. Bureaucracy everywhere, accountability thin. Wealthy men hungry for government contracts. The chaos isn't a problem, is the perfect smokescreen. He folds the newspaper. He is going to sell the Eiffel Tower for scrap as a government official to some of the most sophisticated businessmen in France. Not a painting, not a company. The single most recognizable landmark in Europe. The setup takes weeks. Lustig rents a suite at the Hôtel de Crillon, one of the most expensive addresses in Paris, where ambassadors stay. Then he prints counterfeit letterhead from the Ministry of Posts and Telegraphs. 5 envelopes, 5 of France's biggest scrap metal dealers. Confidential, official, urgent. The letter doesn't say what the meeting is about, just that it involves a sensitive government infrastructure matter, that attendance is expected, and that discretion is required. No details. And the lack of details does all the work because the brain immediately starts filling in possibilities. Each man assumes he's been specially selected. The competition is already running before anyone's said a word. The hotel validates the authority. The secrecy creates urgency. The exclusive guest list triggers greed. Lustig hasn't even opened his mouth yet, and the con is already 80% complete. When those 5 men walk into that suite, they walk in wanting to believe whatever he's about to say. And here's the counterintuitive part. Lustig doesn't open with a pitch. He opens with paperwork. He drones about budget cycles. He lets uncomfortable silence sit in the room like furniture. He is the most boring, credible bureaucrat these men have ever met. Because real officials are tedious. Scammers are exciting. Lustig knew the difference. Then, almost reluctantly, like it physically pains him, he reveals the proposal. The government needs to sell 7,000 tons of Eiffel Tower scrap metal. Quietly, before the public gets wind of it and causes a scandal. And the secrecy clause? Genius. No man in that room can breathe a word to anyone. Which means no man can check anything with anyone. The 5 businessmen lean forward as one, like plants toward light. One man bites harder than the rest. André Poisson. He's newer to Parisian business, anxious, eager to prove himself. Landing a government scrap contract this size would establish him completely. Lustig watches him. Poisson is the mark. But then Poisson starts asking real questions. And the room gets dangerous. He wants verification. He wants credentials. He wants something that makes this feel real. Most cons collapse here. The grifter panics, deflects, changes the subject. Lustig does the opposite. He leans forward, lowers his voice, and explains with quiet, embarrassed dignity that a government salary is frankly quite low, and that a man of Poisson's sophistication surely understands how certain things actually work in Paris. He is asking for a bribe, and Poisson pays it, because a corrupt official makes perfect sense. Suddenly, every suspicion snaps into place, not as a red flag, but as confirmation. Of course, this is how France works. Of course, the official wants something on the side. It all fits. The bribe wasn't a flaw in the con. The bribe was the con. Poisson hands over a briefcase, the equivalent of $70,000 today, plus the bribe on top. Lustig shakes his hand, tucks the case under his arm, walks out of the Hotel de Crillon, and is on a train to Vienna within hours. He waits. Weeks pass, no police, no headlines, nothing. Because André Poisson never told a single soul. Not his wife, not his lawyer, not the police. He had tried to buy the Eiffel Tower for scrap using a bribe, and he would take that to his grave before admitting it publicly. And that silence gave Lustig the most dangerous thought possible. What if I did it again 6 months later? Same city, same hotel, same fake stationery, new set of scrap dealers, identical con, run with the exact same script and the same reluctant bribe request. Pure arrogance. Magnificent, catastrophic arrogance. This time, his mark goes to the police. Lustig flees to America. In America, he pivots to counterfeiting US currency. Not small scale, but industrial. He swindles Al Capone out of $5,000, somehow survives that interaction, and spends years outrunning the Secret Service. He becomes one of the most wanted men in the country, but every con artist has a blind spot. And Lustig's wasn't a detective or a smarter mark, it was a woman. In 1935, a jealous mistress walks into a Secret Service field office and tells them exactly where his counterfeiting operation is running. A single address on a piece of paper. Empire over. He escapes once. An actual jailbreak, which tracks. They catch him again. He is sentenced to 20 years and shipped to Alcatraz, the man who sold the Eiffel Tower twice, who conned Al Capone, who printed his own money, now in a concrete cell on a rock in San Francisco Bay. Nobody left to charm. Nowhere to run. He dies in 1947. Cause of death, pneumonia. And on his death certificate, in the box marked occupation, someone wrote 2 words. Apprentice salesman. The grandest con man in history. Apprentice salesman. There is no better punchline. There is no sadder one either. But the Eiffel Tower story isn't really about Lustig's audacity. It's about why it worked. He didn't find stupid people. He found ambitious ones. Every victim in that hotel suite believed they were the clever one, the insider who'd spotted an opportunity everyone else had missed. Lustig's greatest trick was making the mark feel like the con artist. He never sold the Eiffel Tower. He sold the feeling of being smarter than the room. And people will pay almost anything for that feeling. They did in 1925. The Eiffel Tower is still standing. They still do. He knew people don't buy products or proposals. They buy the feeling that they're one step ahead of everyone else. The secret deal. The insider edge. The room full of suckers, and you're the only one who isn't one. That feeling is for sale every single day. The question is, who's Victor Lustig in your story?